An important concept in observational research is something they call the day in the life. And you'll hear this term and you may think, well, that's 24 hours, a day in the life of me. But actually a day in the life in observational research terms is more a bounded period in which I'm going to observe. And it's probably related to the activity that's going on. So it's not literally a 24-hour period, but it might be the time it takes to bake a cake, which could be an hour, for example. It could be the working day, e.g. a shift of a nurse, and that might be 8 hours or 12 hours, depending on the hospital and what type of clinic she's working in. It might be that time it takes, the cycle time of a passenger moving through TSA screening. Or it might be the amount of time it takes you to enjoy a glass of soda. So we would call each one of those a day in the life of baking a cake, a day in the life of screening a passenger. It's not necessarily 24 hours. In fact, in some cases, it might only be a couple of minutes of time. But that's the day in the life of the activity or the process that you're looking at. In observational research, we don't specifically look for needs themselves. Pulling needs out of our research will come in the analysis phase. At the moment, our job is to very, very insightfully capture what is going on, what we see, and what we really see. And the old adage here of garbage in, garbage out really holds true. If your research is poor, then your analysis really doesn't stand much of a chance. And we think about the 4 Ps, we talked about that last time: process, people, products, and place. We also look for what I call discontinuities. Remember I talked about the baseline. Discontinuities are the difference between what we expect to happen and reality. And actually, when you do this kind of work, you'll start to see a lot of discontinuities, where things make you go, We look for workarounds a lot. As human beings, we tend to adapt to our situation, and we'll make something work even if we haven't quite got the right tools or the right materials or the right setting around us. So workarounds are interesting things for us to look for as innovators, because that prompts the question, well, how can I make the need for that workaround go away? So it's important in observational research to become insightful, to look kind of past the obvious to, well, hang on a minute, what's really going on here? Discontinuities occur when what we expect and what happens aren't the same. And that might be because something takes longer than I expected it to, and maybe an inordinate amount of time that I thought was very strange. Perhaps something's harder than usual. People really struggle to do it, or it takes an incredible amount of skill to do something, and it makes me wonder, how could I make it easier for somebody less skilled to get the same result? Maybe plan A has to switch to plan B. In my field, in the medical field, we often see surgeons will start with a surgical plan to carry out a particular operation or a particular procedure, and then once they start seeing what's really going on with the patient, they have to switch to a different plan. Perhaps a product doesn't perform as expected. I think we've all had that experience where we use a product and it's really just not doing what we need it to do, and we have to go and find something different or figure out a different way to approach our problem. These are all discontinuities. These are all things that as innovators, I think, well, how can I make that go away? So a question, what do you see in this image? So when you look at that image, maybe the answers come back, well, I see granite, or I see something that looks a bit like a satellite photo. I've heard people say it looks like something under a microscope. Paint splatters is an obvious one. It kind of is paint splatters. Somebody once said to me, looking up through the jungle canopy on a sunny day. And other people will say, well, it's a painting. I've seen it before. It's a modern art painting. Some people might say, actually, that's Lavender Mist by Jackson Pollock. Kind of a lesson there that people see different things. Actually, that really is a painting, a modern art painting by Jackson Pollock. But if you said that's Lavender Mist by Jackson Pollock, you didn't tell me what you saw, you told me what you knew it to be. And in observational research, it's important for you to tell me what you see, to record what you see, not what you know to be there. So don't make assumptions or write down needs yet. Just record everything you see, and most importantly, the way you see it. So things are not always what they seem to be. If we look at this picture here, it appears to be a couple of giraffe, right? We recognize them immediately, a sculpture of giraffe. But if we play the video, we see that the video shifts. And actually, from a different angle, it's an elephant. This is kind of a metaphor to try and sort of lock into your mind this fact that different people see different things in the same thing. And I'm sure policemen would tell you this about crime scene reporting. Witnesses see very different things. That 360 view, looking all around the problem, both literally and metaphorically, is a very important part of the observational research process. So let's look at this next video. Somebody sharpening a pencil. Simple enough, we've all done it. That's somebody sharpening a pencil, right? And you could write down, person sharpened pencil. But there's actually more going on there, and through the eyes of an ethnographer, an ethnographic researcher, or an observational researcher, we see more going on. To the careful observer, we see two products, a pencil and a sharpener. I see that you have to manually rotate the pencil and maintain pressure longitudinally into the sharpener. How do you judge how much force? How much is too much, too little? The sharpener shape itself is actually quite hard to hold against the rotation of the pencil, and I'm sure we've all had a pencil jam in a sharpener. The sharpener actually has sharp edges, which makes it even harder to hold and makes me scratch my head. Why do they design them that way? The waste is not controlled. Where does it go? It falls somewhere. How do I know when to stop? How do I know when my pencil is sharp? I don't know if you noticed, there's a label on the side of the sharpener. I don't know why that's there. And then I'm thinking, how does it work for somebody who's left-handed? How would it work for somebody who's maybe visually impaired? So just the simple few seconds of video of sharpening a pencil actually prompts all kinds of questions and all kinds of observations in my mind. This is the level of granularity of detail that I would encourage you to try and collect when you do observational research in the field. If you think about the things that I just mentioned, the two products and the twisting and the sharpness, actually they relate back to those 4 Ps. The process, the activity that was going on, the products, which were the sharpener and the pencil, and I noted those, the people, the person doing the activity, and how it feels for them, and how they know what's going on, and the place where it's happening. Where does the waste go? So the 4 Ps are our prompts to try and stay broad and stay thorough in our observational research.